Welcome everybody to another episode of Creator Spotlight. I know I do these infrequently, but every now and again I reach out to a creator and they're gracious enough to give me their time. And this creator is one I have been a fan of for quite a while. I found her work during COVID of all times with Bliss, and that became a very important book between Jen and I during that time. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our special guest, Caitlin Yarsky.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
I'm so happy that you've been on my list of like people to get on for a long time, and I am so happy to have you on here. I just reread Living Hell last night at like 2 a.m.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
I wanted to be as prepped as I could be, and you have a habit of making or being involved in gut punch books.
Yeah.
But one of the best things I'll say about your art is that you are so good with the expressionism of the faces and how they emote, where you're feeling what they're feeling. In particular, there is a page from Bliss where the woman whose mother is killed is looking down with scorn upon the father and son. The son's holding his dead father. And at first, she's looking down at him with anger, and then he's looking up in anger, and then it just turns into like everything leaves his face, and it's just like, I give up. And it's like a very powerful page from that, because it's like he's not accepting revenge. And without words, you tell the story so well.
Wow. Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, I mean, that's the most important part of comics for me, like drawing comics for me, is the emotion and bringing in the character acting and kind of trying to, I mean, from what you said, like it seems like it worked for you. So I'm really happy about that.
Very much so. And it was a nice palate cleanser reading the latest issue of Wonder Woman, where it looks like you had a ton of fun drawing all these giant mice.
Yeah. It's funny. I got that gig and I was like, oh man, Wonder Woman is like so intense and awesome. And then I was reading the script and I was like, what is going on here? But it was really funny and I was like laughing throughout the whole thing, and I just had a blast with it. Yeah.
It was incredibly cute, and like I just imagine you drawing all the mice just kind of giggling.
Yeah, I basically was, especially the scenes where like Mouse Man is like, ranting
in Congress.
There's like a little mouse who's also ranting, and it's like, yes. That was literally in the script. I was like, what?
I loved it because I was like, it's been so intense in that book, and then you got to do the break in it.
Yeah, totally.
So I was curious because I interviewed Sean a couple of times, and he kind of like told us how he found you and Hayden.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what was your entry in the comics? Like, how did you get into it? Because I saw something that you did gaming kind of artwork.
Yeah, I still do some game work. I do like UI design right now. But yeah, I've been working in games since like 2008. I had like a 10-page comic that I had created on my own as like a portfolio piece sort of thing, and that was kind of my like trying to break into comics with that, showing it around just to be like, look, I made a thing, and here I can make more of these things. And Boom Studios had an open submission thing to like put on their Facebook wall, and all these people put like pages up on their Facebook wall, and I think Sean was just looking for artists, and so I had just thrown everything I could everywhere, like art directors and submission pages and all these other things, and so I had put my stuff up on Boom Studios page, and they didn't hire me. I have worked for them since then, but they didn't hire me from that. But Sean found my work there and then emailed me with the script.
Yeah, he had talked about on Bliss what a collaborator you were, that like how you wanted to put the fish people in there and a bunch of other stuff, and he was just like, whatever you want to do, like. And I love that kind of collaboration where he's just like, you know what, you probably know better than I do, like.
Yeah, he's very like egoless in that way. It's really nice, like, and actually kind of spoiled me for future projects. Like, his scripts don't even have page breakdowns. let
Oh,
alone panel breakdowns. It's just a script. So like I love that personally because it gives me more creative room to just like go nuts with the way the panel composition is and everything. And it gives me that visual freedom. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a not a challenge, but just like, oh, this is not really the way that most of it goes in comics. But I was really fortunate to work with Sean.
yeah, I'd heard, I think it was Greg Capullo saying that like he had gotten a Grant Morrison script and literally ripped it up and threw it out because he literally was telling him what to do panel by panel and where to frame the camera.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, I'm not doing this, and just tossed it. And I was just like, I can't even imagine.
Right. I mean, to a point, I get that. Like, it's a little taboo to talk about, but it's like I don't know. It's like the artist telling the writer what words to put. Like, I don't know. It's like the I feel like the artist should have a little bit more ability to like make up the panel count and the breakdown and everything than you typically do because that's what they went to school for. Like the
Yeah,
visual part of it.
I
But
think
that's
that's why
just me.
people like Marvel Method so much, is because it was just like, this is what's happening. Put the pictures there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's also the thing I love about J.H. Williams III is like he broke the taboos of working within the panels. All his
Mm.
stuff is not traditional. It's all breaking out of the page almost.
Yeah. Super trippy. Really beautiful.
So, who were some of your artists you kind of grew up liking that kind of maybe like framed your style?
Um, I mean, I didn't grow up. I mean, I read some comics growing up, but I wasn't like a comic person growing up. I was more into illustration and fine art. So, I loved Brian Froud and Alan Lee. Those were two artists that worked together to make this book called Fairies from like the 70s. It's really dark, actually. It's like an encyclopedia of um, all of the original folklore of like fairies and elves and stuff like that from like the UK, and it's really beautiful and kind of almost like a horror book, but it's not. 'Cause it's not a story. It's like an encyclopedia, but it's like it's all hand. It's like a lot of it is like handwritten, and it's sketchy, but it's also like watercolor, and they both their styles work amazing together. And so that was kind of like my Bible. I think my stepmom gave me that when I was a kid. Arthur Rackham, I just this kind of like old world illustration style, like a lot of sepia, things like that. And yeah, and as I got older, I started reading some more comics, and but I think animation has a huge influence on me, like Don Bluth. I love Don Bluth. I
Oh,
love
100%.
yeah, I love Sylvain Chomet, who did like the triplets of Belleville. I love stuff like that. And film too. So it's all over the place. There's I think most of my influence from comics came from working in comics. So just like seeing people's work as I was, doing my own stuff.
Now that you mentioned the Don Bluth of it all, there's very much some panels in Living Hell
Hmm.
where after you said that, I was like, all right, there's some pants panels 100% that are very Don Bluth.
Yeah, he has
Uh,
very like human, like his characters are very like weighted. They have a lot of weight to them, and emotive, like in a way that Disney characters sometimes are, but I just feel like Don has like I like his style better.
Very much so. And if I recall, he was the old video arcade cabinet, Dragon's Lair, and Space Ace was his art.
Oh, really?
Yeah, way, way back in the day.
Nice.
That's the Brian Froud book, or however it's pronounced. I worked at Barnes and Noble for 20 years, so our art books, it was always right at the top, right next to H.R. Giger's
Oh,
Necronomicon book.
really?
Yeah, so it was always those two oversized books up there next to each other almost.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know it was like that popular. I mean, actually, I should have known it was that popular. Because I've talked to some like I think I was sitting next to Dustin Wen at C2E2 this year, and we were talking about things that influenced us, and I brought up fairies, and no, I think he brought up the fairies book, and I was like, no way. We were both like, that was my art Bible too. It was crazy.
And you were right. It is like a very dark, like even the tones used in it, and the inking style is very, very heavy.
Yeah.
It's almost like an ink wash on some of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of watercolor, a lot of washes, a lot of sketch. You could see the pencil sketch. I love pencil, and I feel like if I could draw a whole comic in just pencil, I think I would, and I kind of want to. um, but yeah, Brian Froud also did the art for Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal. Um, and
I actually was going to say Legend because they had those dark fairies in there, but now that you mentioned
yeah.
Dark Crystal, I was like, you're 100% right because
yeah, the mystics and everything. And then Alan Lee was one of the original illustrators for Lord of the Rings books. So he did some of the art that they actually hired him for the movies to do concept art for them because of his art from the 60s or 70s that he did of Lord of the Rings stuff. So his original Treebeard concept was very heavily influenced in the movie.
I did not know that. I've watched every behind the scenes of those movies. I did not see that part.
Well, you got to watch the DVDs, the making of DVDs, which are 9 hours long. And they hired John Howe and Alan Lee as the main concept artists, and they both had done illustrations for the books decades before.
Okay, well, I'll have 9-hour documentary ahead of me then. Because I mean, it's hard enough just to watch. I was sick and I watched every extended edition of Lord of the Rings straight through for the whole day, and I was by the end, I was just like, I can't do that again. It's just too long.
Yeah, I actually kind of like the making of better than the movies themselves.
Well, I like the movies, but anything's better than the Hobbit movies. The Hobbit movies were just bad.
So bad. It's just and it just felt like a cash grab. Nobody really wanted to be doing it. That kind of feeling.
Very much so, because I remember Guillermo del Toro was involved at one point, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to see his take on it. And I was like, I'm back for the check. Never mind. We're making 3 of them.
Yeah. Unnecessary. And the book is it's a children's book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. So how did the concept of Living Hell come to you? Because it's very interesting, because it starts as a very whimsical book, and then it takes on this life by the end of it, and I was like, huh, well, that took a turn. But you do a good job, kind of doing the juggling act of having these whimsical moments and then a little bit of heartbreak and then bringing the whimsy back where you're constantly not just like, oh my God, why, what could happen?
I'm glad. I mean, I definitely wanted to break up the heavy stuff because a lot of my favorite stories, shows, movies, comics all kind of do that. They give you breaks, and I love Buffy, and creator aside, I love the actual show, but
Yeah.
it's horror, it's comedy, but it gets really heavy at points, especially towards season 4, 5, 6, that kind of thing. And
so in particular, the episode where Buffy's mom died was one of the craziest episodes because of the way they just kept doing Groundhog Day with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, oh my God. And I'd see people like, oh, did you see it last night? I was like, yeah, I'm not okay.
Yeah. I mean, that was on purpose. Everything was on purpose. There was no music in that episode. But at the same time, that wouldn't have hit as hard if everything was heavy all the time. So
Yes.
I was trying to take notes from stuff like that where most of the time you're having fun with these characters and you want to see what they're going to do next and you're enjoying them and you like their relationships with each other, because if it was just heavy all the time, you would just be exhausted and you wouldn't be having fun. So yeah, I definitely wanted to show that these characters liked each other and had fun together and cared about each other, but there's tons of themes in there, not least of which is kind of generational trauma and inheriting your parents' problems and the cycles that we can't break out of. And all sorts of things. But, and of course, like, the demons being kind of stand-ins for immigrants because we're like literally demonizing them and stuff like that. And, um, so in a sense, like Jerome is sort of an anti-hero because he knows what he's doing is fucked up, um, but he's kind of blackmailed into it.
Very much so. And like, without ruining the story, like, he does everything to avoid doing a certain thing only to then have that certain thing come up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing things for the right reasons to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, he's doing fucked up things to do them.
Yeah. I mean, and it's that kind of classic trope of like, burning the world down to save the person you love, which sounds noble, but is not really good. It's kind of like, this isn't, in the grand scheme of things. Yeah.
And you made the most adorable hellhound.
Thanks. I mean, honestly, when I figured out his name, I was like, that's it. Like, I love him forever. And this is the best character I'll ever create. And he doesn't even really have an instrumental part. And I mean, he does, like, he like sniffs out the demons for him, but he's really just like, he's like his I'll ride or die buddy. Like, he's like, I don't really know what's going on, but I love you.
And Jerome hates the name.
Yeah.
Pants.
Yeah.
Because there's the one thing, like, he keeps trying to give him different names, and Pants keeps doing his head this way. This way he goes, Pants. It's like, arf.
Yep.
I loved it. And then when he ate bees and his whole nose and mouth swollen.
I think I've like seen videos of dogs who did that, and they just look so dejected. I was like,
that page was the Don Bluth, because it was definitely like a Don Bluth cartoon type look on Pants' face. And I did love the relationship between Joe and Jerome, like when there's no sound on the TV and they're doing their own dialogue back and forth after they had like these stressful encounters over the last 2 issues.
Yeah.
And the mom was heartbreaking as well, Sita.
Yeah.
The chemtrails. That's where I was just like, oh no, like.
I mean, I've had people in my family, not my mother or my stepmother, but like I've had people in my family who like succumb to the whole conspiracy theory thing. And like, look, I'm not even saying that a few conspiracy theories here and there haven't turned out to be true, like the CIA doing shit, but like it's in general, it's like if you start going down that rabbit hole, a lot of people just like, it becomes like a mental illness. Like they just start believing all of them, and like there's no talking to them. It's a little bit like Trump supporters, there's like no talking to them. There's no like logic. There's nothing you can say that will change their mind, because they've decided like whatever sources you have are the corrupt and or like, and so
I saw it on Fox News. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I kind of had like that chuckle to myself. I was like, okay, I found your work during COVID in the first Trump administration when the world was burning. It's starting again, and now I'm promoting your book with you. I'm just like,
yeah, it's almost like alarming how I don't know if they're prescient or they're just relevant to the times that these books seem to be happening. Like Coyotes seemed pretty relevant at the time and still is kind of.
It's very relevant again.
Right? Like it came back full circle, and now it's like just as much of a current thing. And I don't know, it's kind of just wild. It's not on purpose. It just keeps happening.
I had a wild time trying to get the trade for those recently, because I was like, I need an easier way to read them because I don't want to keep digging into my box. And I tried to get the trades, and they're out of print.
Really? Wow.
Or they're in between printings because like nobody had them. So
I mean, I think they were going to do another print, but we were just like, well, I don't know if anyone's going to buy them at this point, because it's been enough years that it's just the comic book industry is a weird.
Yeah,
you
have your staples that keep getting kind of reprinted, and then I ended up finding this place, Book Outlet. It's like Book Outlet or Pals are my 2 go-tos if I'm looking for stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the copies that came in was autographed. It was from a Barnes and Noble book bargain bin.
Oh,
So I got a autograph of Sean's on Coyotes Part 2. I was like, all right, well, this worked out.
right on. Well, thanks for taking all the time to do that. It means a lot.
Oh, because I reread everything
Mm-hmm.
before this, so that way I was kind of up on everything. Um, it's weird because I noticed your evolution of your art since Coyotes,
Mm-hmm.
where the way you do the faces has changed quite a bit since.
Mm-hmm.
Where it now that you said it, the kind of Don Bluth expressionism comes in, but like I can flip through a book not knowing your art's in it. I'll be like, oh, Caitlin did that.
That's interesting. I've heard that a couple times now, and I'm shocked to hear that because I always feel like I don't have enough of like a distinct style. But it's cool to hear that.
Oh, definitely. Especially, I think it was the Lazarus Planet. I forget which one it was. I think you did
Mm-hmm.
Mary Marvel in it,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like happened to flip like, oh, Caitlin did that. Great.
Awesome.
I my other friend Tessa, who does the show with me, is a huge fan of yours. I was trying to get her to come on. She's like, I'm looking for locations for my fourth comic store today, so like, I have to wait.
Oh, it's too bad. Well, say hi for me.
I will. She's gonna rewatch this later, so because she was over the moon that I got you on the show because she's a huge fan.
Oh, that's nice.
Um, so also weird Coyotes. What was your feelings when Selena Gomez optioned that years ago? Of like, wait, who?
Right? Yeah. I mean, I wish it had turned into something, but yeah, I guess it could still happen at some point. But yeah.
Yeah, I hear it's very common for that. Like, especially during that certain time, like everybody was just optioning everything. So I remember Sex Criminals when that was optioned. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, the market went crazy buying up everything, and then nothing happened.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I remember it was my first like kind of taste into the Hollywood thing, and Sean works in film, and
Yeah,
he was just like, don't get too excited. It does not necessarily mean it actually means it probably won't happen, but if but we had a few years where it kept getting options, so there's like a little bit of a bonus kind of check every Christmas or so, which was nice.
oh, nice.
Yeah. It didn't last, but it was good. It was good for a few years.
And then you did a fairly decent run on like lengthwise decent of Black Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
How is that with working with Lemire?
Oh, it was awesome.
I can see his scripts being kind of beefy.
No, they weren't. I mean, they weren't really.
Oh.
They weren't. They weren't overly. They didn't tell you too much. They weren't. They didn't. They weren't so instructive that it was like restrictive. It was actually pretty okay. And he was very cool and collaborative, and So yeah, no, I had plenty of freedom on that. It was really fun.
Yeah, like I said, it was like a pretty. Was it 12 issues, 8 issues?
It was 8. No, it was 12. I did the first 4
Okay.
and the last 4, and then Malachi Ward did the middle 4.
Yeah. Gotcha. So how was it transitioning from being artist to being artist writer? Did you ever like write pages for yourself going, I don't know about this?
Absolutely. Oh my God, self-doubt haunts me. But at the same time, it was really fulfilling and exciting in a new way, whereas like with the drawing, you can kind of get in a rut a little bit, especially if you're feeling kind of burnt out. And so the writing part was really fun and really exciting. And I just kind of felt like, oh, this is like now this really feels like I have ownership over this, and I have like a voice and I can tell my own stories. So I definitely want to keep doing that as much as I can. I mean, it's tricky because you have to keep doing work for hire stuff because it pays better, honestly, than like if you get an advance for a creator-owned thing and you're not an established writer or well-established writer, it's going to be pretty low pay. And I'm super grateful for the whole opportunity and like that Dark Horse gave me the chance, but it's also like one of those things that you kind of have to plan out and or space out, and have other jobs on the side to make it work. So I definitely want to keep doing it. I just have to kind of like schedule it so that I can pay rent at the same time.
You do more gaming work on the side just to kind of.
Exactly.
Had you been kind of practicing writing or writing scripts for a while before you were like, you know what, I'm going to do this?
I had one opportunity to write. It was for Boom Studios. I did a 10-page Buffy story, actually. And it was so fun. And I could have written 1,000 stories for them because I knew that whole world like the fucking back of my hand. Like they don't even know. They were like, well, when they first hired me, I thought I was just doing the art for a story. And then they were just like, okay, send us your ideas when you get a chance. And I was like, what are you talking about? Ideas? And they're like, yeah, you're writing it too. And I was like, oh. So I sent them over like 4 or 5 ideas, but I could have sent them 20. And I think that kind of lit the fire for me because I was like, I always thought in the back of my head I would like to write someday, but there's a lot of intimidation in there in your head, like the spark to the impetus to actually get you to physically write is like there's a big hurdle there between like I would like to and doing it. And this was like the perfect foray for me, and especially because I knew the world so well, but also because they were just like, no, you're doing this. And I was like, oh, okay. And so, I kind of had to. So I just did it, and it was like really fun. And I thought, oh, I want to do this again.
Did you have that challenge of like, because you know that world so well and you were a fan of like, oh no, I'm fangirl writing now. It's becoming like / fiction.
Well, actually, no, because it was a kind of a blank slate sort of story. Like it was a collection of short stories by a bunch of different people. I think it's called like Generations or something, but it was different slayers throughout history in different parts of the world. So you can choose you can create your own slayer from at any time in history and like tell a story from that time period and that part of the world. So it was like very like Deus Ex Machina kind of thing where you could just do whatever. And it was perfect because I did put Easter eggs in there, and references to like Angelus because it was in Ireland. So there was like all these nuns that had been turned into vampires and like all this stuff. But, you wouldn't catch it if you weren't a fan of the show. So it was nice.
That's awesome, especially when you get to kind of create your own mythos to a degree of like, well, it's canon now, kind of.
It's canon now. I have canon Buffy.
That's amazing. Has there been, or is there a property or character that's on your like bucket list that you're like, I want to work on this, whether it's writing or doing art on? Because you kind of got Wonder Woman now.
Right. I mean, sadly, my favorite comic ever was The Sandman, and how that all went down. So I don't really know how to answer that anymore because that would have been the series for me to draw, if I could, choose. But no, I think at this point it would be an original story and just given the license to do what I want. I'm not sure what else. I mean, anything in the Batman verse would be really fun. But that's pretty high demand. So I don't know if I would ever do that. Yeah.
To be honest, if I ever thought of you doing anything in the Sandman universe, it'd probably be Dead Boy Detectives.
Oh, yeah? I could see that.
Because it's just outside enough of like that you can kind of play around with it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But that I had pre-ordered before all that came through the Sandman 8 facsimile cover for the first appearance of Death, and DC killed it. I was like, yeah, probably a good idea. Like,
I mean, my list of heroes is like just getting shorter every year. So many things that I loved that the creators turned out to be not good people.
The Warren Ellis one also is like, I love his work, and then I was like, well,
I hadn't been a big fan of his. I hadn't read his stuff when that happened, so I missed that. But I heard it really was a big blow to the community.
Yes. Yeah. I've met a lot of great ones though, especially artists that Philomena's was like one of the nicest
Oh,
artists I've met.
so good. This artist so good.
Oh my god, especially the evolution of his art on Historia.
Oh my God, beautiful.
Oh, and
Yeah.
I know why it took years for that to get done.
It is that why it's so fucking beautiful? Because I was like, how did they do all like this is so dense. Like the art was so dense. I was like, this can't have been just like a regular job. Like
No, it was crazy because I'm a fan of his work, and I was like, this is beyond what I've seen him do, and
yeah,
my god. And then like George Perez was one of the sweetest people I've ever met.
that's nice. Yeah.
He was amazing. He actually walked my friend's wife, gave her away at his wedding.
Oh,
He got married at Dragon Con, so he um,
amazing.
yeah, I could talk about Historia because even the issue after, I forget who did the art on it. I'm blanking on it, but even their art, I was like, this had to have taken 2 years minimum.
Yeah.
The density of it. Are there any creators you kind of are digging? Like you follow their stuff if they put stuff out?
I mean, the first person when I first got myself into comics, the first person that I was like really into obviously was like Fiona Staples, which is like probably a boring answer, but she was great. I love Amy Reeder.
Rocket Girl is one of my favorite books.
Which book?
Rocket Girl.
I actually haven't read that. The only thing I've read of hers is Amethyst.
Amethyst was great, but Rocket Girl, it was her image book. I think it was like 8 to 10 issues.
Okay.
And her artwork is so dynamic, and the colors just pop off the page.
She's so fucking good. It makes me mad. Like I look at her stuff and I'm just like reading it, and like I carry Amethyst around me because I'm just like, I just look at that and I'm just like, there is like a mastery here that is like infuriating and so good, and like it makes it look effortless, and I don't know how she did that. And I'm gonna have to pick up Rocket Girl now because
She is slept on as an artist. I don't think people
I
realize
know.
how good she is.
Absolutely. I'm like, how is she not as huge as like Fiona Staples or something? You know what I mean? Like I don't get it. But yeah.
She hasn't done a big established book. She's kind of done her own thing, and that maybe is why, kind of like Becky Cloonan, it took years for people to all of a sudden go, holy shit.
Right.
One of your people I've seen you in Instagram with, Layla Del Duca, is I love Shutter.
Oh
I
yeah.
love that book.
Yeah. I'll have to tell her you said that. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, I have a signed copy of Shutter, and she did Alarm Clock Cat, because a little picture in there, and I was ecstatic to have that.
That's awesome. Yeah. We're actually kind of like almost neighbors. We hang out all the time. She's amazing. I love her.
I mean, it's great that you have creator friends nearby that you can kind of bounce stuff off of, because you share a studio with Eric Powell.
Yeah. It's kind of mind-blowing that I'm allowed to be in the same space as him. Like he's like the most humble, sweet, amazing, lovely human, but he's like so good, and like just it's crazy that I'm like even that I share a studio with him. Like I can't even believe it. Like I'll look over and just be like, "Hey, what you working on?" And it's like
Do you find yourself just like leaning over the table, like, "What you doing?"
yeah. He's like, "Oh, nothing." It's just this thing, and he shows me, and I'm just like, whoa, holy shit. Yeah, but it's great. Like I started working on a cover recently for Dark Horse, and I went traditional for it, and I haven't done painting in a while, and I was kind of intimidated about it because I'm spoiled by like Control Z and being able to like edit things so easily digitally. But he was giving me all these tips and tricks for how to like work on certain surfaces with different things. He's like, "Oh yeah, use this pencil over this paint because it'll work," and I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, he's the best."
I also, in Living Hell, there was something at the end, and I probably blew by it the first time. You and Clayton Cowles at the last issue, your little farewells, the letter guy over here.
Yeah, I mean, me and Clayton are like best friends, so we were just like, what if we, because he was giving me shit about that font that I used. It was just, and I could care less about the fucking crossbars on the eyes. It's just like, whatever, man. So I was just like, what if I made this like our little like our little tip at the end of the book?
It made me laugh because I don't know if the first time I read it, I just kind of didn't go that far. I was like, hit the last page. And this time I went through, I was like, oh, they're sniping at each other. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I adore Clayton. He's one of my best friends. And I said the minute I do my own book, you're my letterer for sure. So
I don't remember on Living Hell, did you color your own stuff or was there a colorist on it?
No, I colored it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer doing your own colors or does it depend on the project?
I do because I have seen colors make the line art look worse somehow. And it's not like anybody's fault. It's just that like I feel like the disconnect between two different artists doing, you know what I mean? It's hard to find a good pairing. I have worked with colorists who do an amazing job, but I kind of like the control of the rendering part because it makes such a difference with the way the line art is read.
So. Yeah, I have a couple of artist friends who they refuse to let anybody else ink their stuff unless they have to do it because they're like, I know how I want the lines and I don't think I communicate it clearly to the next person how I want it.
I could never. I'm such a control freak. I could never let somebody ink my pencils. That would never ever happen in a million years. Like I'm shocked that was even a thing. And in like classic,
it's like sending your animal to a boarding house and being like, just let him come back normal.
No, just name him something else and train him differently, and then he'll come back a different. Yeah, like no.
Yeah,
can't do it.
So the Living Hell is coming out in 2 weeks now. It was pushed back. It was supposed to come out the 15th. Now it's the 22nd, which a little disappointing, but I guess they wanted to have it come out San Diego Comic-Con week.
Oh, is that when it's coming out? Wow.
I think it's Comic-Con week. It's either that or it's the week before, but
I mean, the timing has been really weird for everything. Like the first issue came out like the day after the election. So it was just like, I just think I'm kind of have some weird, like, on sale date curse. Yeah, it was just a shipping thing. Something happened with the shipping, so they just had to move it.
I mean, it's the way the business lately. I mean, especially with every distributor changing like every month now.
Yeah.
Which the whole Diamond thing, I was like, I've been thinking it was coming for years. I used to work at a comic store years ago, and like it used to be the bane of my existence having to call and be like, wait for 3 hours just to report the damages of how they packed everything like garbage. And it's like, I'm exhausted by the time it ends. And now they're gone and they have Lunar, Penguin. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know which distributors are best now. There's so many.
So my friend Tessa runs 3 stores right now, and she swears by Lunar.
Okay.
She basically stopped ordering Distillery because they were with Diamond.
Oh.
Because of how bad Diamond had been.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Lunar's the one I hear the best about.
Okay, I think that's Dark Horse. I think they use Lunar.
I think Dark Horse is on Lunar now, or they might be with Penguin. I can't.
Oh no, they were Penguin.
The Penguin, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't remember if like Lunar like was a distributor for Penguin or whether that was like a whole. I don't pay attention enough to that stuff.
No, I'll see blurbs and like I'll hear complaining from friends about it who are in comic business or own comic shops. Any projects coming up after this and Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I'm currently working on 2 different series, one for Oni and one for Dark Horse. I don't think I can talk about them yet.
Fair enough.
I am excited for them both. And then I have possibly another Oni series coming that I'm going to start working on next year. So thankfully got plenty of work ahead of me. I last year ran out of work in the middle of the summer and spent. I think I applied to like over 100 game jobs, and the game industry has been decimated. So it was like a desert. I got like one interview.
It just got
So
decimated again. I think Microsoft laid off 2,000 people.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, from what I hear, I'm like, I went to art school. What the hell do I know? But like, from what I hear, corporations do this thing where they fire a ton of people because saving money looks the same as a profit. So that's
Write
just
it
like,
off.
it's just a general thing that they do now. So if you think about it, like I keep going like back and forth about freelance because, you pay your own health insurance and everything. But I'm also like, having a 9 to 5 isn't any more stable anymore because, like massive layoffs are almost like a guarantee now. So,
Especially in that industry where it's like, hey, we did this massive merger. We got Bethesda. We got all this. Yeah, by the way, you guys are gone. Your jobs are redundant.
yep. And now we're going to hire a bunch of AI artists, quote unquote. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's rough. I mean, luckily I feel like comics is one of the last bastions of like, the the um the audience, the customer, the people who like the fans, like people really care about hand drawn stuff and real artists and real writers. Like they follow people because they like those people and not because they're just like, I just want content in my face. So I think like we're lucky in that the comics industry is definitely kind of a holdout for AI stuff. Like I don't think they would accept a studio that a publisher that made like AI comics, for example.
It would be terrible. And it's funny because I think comics and film are the only two things where as you get older, your taste will change
Mm-hmm.
and you can find something. There's always going to be something that's going to interest you in some way.
Yeah.
Because especially like Image having its renaissance, uh, Dark Horse, Boom going a little bit more adult. I got burned out. I got superhero fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And then, find all these stuff, especially Image kind of became the Vertigo,
Mm-hmm.
basically. All the books that Vertigo would have gotten.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss Vertigo. It was a cool
It's
effort.
back, kind of.
That's DC Black Label?
Black Label got changed back to Vertigo.
Oh, it did? When did that happen?
Yes. About 2 months ago.
Oh shit. All right.
But funny enough, Dark Horse lately have released banger after banger of horror comics. Like, it's crazy how good they've been.
Cool. Like what are your favorites?
So there was one. Oh my god, why am I blanking? There was Behemoth,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of like Cloverfield a little bit, but without the shaky camera. But it was just a solid 4-issue series. Like I enjoyed the hell out of it. I think it's Those Not Afraid. These two serial killers end up trying to kill the same person and meet, and they're both trying to be the greatest serial killer. They want the record, but they keep like fouling each other up on purpose to make sure. So it's like this weird horror comic with grisly kills, but with these two idiots that are just trying to stop the other one from getting the record.
That's awesome.
And there was a giant spider comic in New York, something Eight Eyes, but
Mm-hmm.
find out there's all these giant spiders that have been living under New York killing people. It's ludicrous, but they were like fun books.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. Horror comics, I feel like are really hard. It's really hard to scare people with a comic book. Like, again, not to bring up the Sandman again, but that was one of the only times I was ever scared when I was reading a comic. Was there was like the dream sequence, the forever nightmare thing that he did
Yeah,
to that guy, and like the space started melting off his head, and I was like, it was The way that was drawn was just like so fucked up.
So they in the comic with a part with the issue with death, when that woman finds her baby dead.
Oh yeah.
And then when they did it in the live action show,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, this actually disturbed me more than it was in the book, because now I'm actually like watching it happen. I was just like, yeah, I'm good. Like I don't need to see anymore. And that, I think it starts tomorrow, the new season, the last season. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna watch, but like some of the actors and actresses are really good, and it's like,
I know. I
I'll
feel
get
so
there.
bad for everybody else who was involved in it, you know, because it's like most people probably who know about the whole thing are not going to be watching, and it's like, you know, it's like the Buffy thing. It's like it sucks for everybody who put all their hard work and their dreams into it, and you know, it sucks.
I think the Buffy thing bothered me more because he was such a bad actor about, oh, I'm for female empowerment, and
Oh yeah, the
like,
irony.
yeah, oh, like 100%. I'm
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
and then you start reading this stuff, you're like, well, and I was at a panel he was at for female empowerment at San Diego Comic Con and for Firefly and all this stuff. And I was like, ah, he's so great. And then not like 3 years later, I was like,
I
oh,
know.
oh boy.
I used to
Wow.
make jokes like if you know if he ever gets canceled, and then lo and behold. Yeah, I loved Firefly too, and that was, you know, that was a great show.
I've shown out of order, but yeah, it was a great show. Like Dr. Horrible was,
Oh,
I
I
enjoyed.
love Dr. Horrible. Yeah.
And again, like you're just sitting there and I'm like, why does he keep killing Felicia Day? Did she wrong him at some point? Like,
I mean, he's been known to do that. He like will punish an actress. Like I know that the woman who played, I forget her name now, but she played Cordelia, and I think she pissed him off, or he was mad at her about something, and he just decided to kill her off of Angel.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was
And
mad at her basically because she called him out for like being abusive.
Charisma Carpenter.
Charisma Carpenter, right?
And it's so weird because that was like before that one of the better seasons, because that had the angel puppet.
Oh, I never saw that. I heard it was funny.
Oh, it was funny, but like that's when that show like started going off the rails, and I was like, I'm kind of enjoying it because none of this makes sense. Like it was just like they all started doing mushrooms and just sat up there in the writer's room going, you know, it'd be cool to have a puppet, but Angel's gonna be in it. And then only to see Ash versus the Evil Dead, they do the same damn thing, but with a puppet called Ashy Slashy.
Oh my God.
That is a perv with a chainsaw hand.
Yeah, it's amazing when you could tell like a room of writers have just like run out. Like they're just like, I don't fucking know. What do we do now?
Basically, any horror movie that goes into space,
Mm-hmm.
you know they're bankrupt and have no idea what to do.
Any movie that has like sequels that end up in space, that's generally like the I think didn't Fast and Furious have a space one?
Almost.
Oh,
They
okay.
went they did like the Jeff Bezos thing where they went substratus orbital with, I believe, a Chevy Charger with
Uh-huh.
rockets hooked up to it. The sad thing is, I'll watch those damn movies. I know they're bad, but I just want to see like what's going on, because it's always like at a certain point it became Ocean's 11, but sponsored by Axe Body Spray
Yeah.
and maybe Red Bull, and of course Coronas, because those people drink Coronas like way too much.
Amazing.
And the Crank movies also, like Jason Statham is so amusingly bad.
Oh yeah, he's basically the same person in everything. I have you seen
Everything.
there's a podcast called How Did This Get Made?
I love it.
It's so good. I think my favorite episode was the one about Drop Dead Fred, which was it's an '80s movie that like totally traumatized me as a child, and it was so funny that they made an LP out of that one episode.
Um, Sleepaway Camp was probably one of my favorite episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Demolition Man and Burlesque.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Nick Kroll is doing an imitation of Cher in it, and it's so over the top bad. And then Sleepaway Camp broke all of their brains
Mm-hmm.
because they're like, wait a minute, hold on, what just happened? Because it has a very shocking end at it, which,
Mm-hmm.
like, I still to this day, like, it jarring that in the 80s and that the person who made it had in the titles "For Mom." Whole movie's on YouTube if anybody wants to look for it, but whew.
Yeah, they are a fun time.
Oh, but also like I highly recommend going back and listening to all the How Did This Get Mades that are available.
I mean, it's one of those like timeless podcasts because it doesn't really matter when they did it. Like you can listen to any of them and it's the same vibe.
Very much so. They did all the Fast and the Furiouses with
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those were pretty funny because that had Adam Scott.
Adam Scott.
Every one of them. And then, there was a couple of Nick Cage ones in there too that were dynamite.
His movie Pig is amazing, actually. Have you ever seen Pig?
No.
Oh, it's a Nick Cage movie that takes place in Portland, and he's a truffle hunt. He has a truffle pig that he like that's his livelihood. He lives in the woods, and he's like a weirdo. And then his pig gets kidnapped, and it's all about him like going to Portland and trying to like find who took his truffle pig. It's really good.
He did a movie called Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, and it's supposed to take place after Katrina, and he's addicted to opiates.
Oh, God.
So like he's busting into houses that he knows has drugs and stealing their stuff
because he's bought the drugs from them.
Yeah, like it's
and he's stealing from
it's wild, and like he's in a conference and he's tweaking out because he took all these pills.
Oh my God.
And the city's kind of like still underwater. It's madness. Like that whole movie, like it made up for Ghost Rider.
He's had an interesting career.
Oh, Drive Angry 3D was horse shit. But I did love that movie. Where he's at the arcade. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's something Willy. He doesn't talk the whole movie though. Like he just acts. And Long Legs. I love seeing him in that bizarre.
I haven't seen that yet.
He is fantastic. The movie tries too hard to be Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, okay.
But it was entertaining. Weirdly, the movie with not Notting Hill. Hugh Grant, Heretic, I loved.
That was fun. I liked that. Yeah.
I love a movie that can make you uncomfortable through dialogue.
Yeah.
Nothing really scary. It's just the intensity building through it.
Mm-hmm.
So, start to wrap up. I had a weird question. What was your favorite Buffy episode?
Oh, God. That's really tough. Maybe it might be, I love Conversations with Dead People. I also love the musical.
Oh, everybody loves the musical.
Everybody loves the musical. I would say The Body, but it's not fun to watch. I don't go back and I should watch The Body again. Yeah, Hush was really fun.
Oh, yeah. There was one of the Halloween episodes I really liked. It was it's the one where they became the character they dressed up as. I thought that one was fun.
The Fear Demon one was fun too.
And there was a season when the nerds with the Robo Buffy. I thought it was funny at the time, and then now looking back, I was like, Oh no, these dudes are.
They're like proto incels. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be on 4chan constantly and everything
Mm.
else. So like I thought it was funny at the time, and then the joke stopped being funny because I was like saw it come to life in front of me.
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
it's oh my god, it's so weird. Like
Yeah.
it is weird because even South Park, like their creators are like, we made a joke about Trump becoming president with Mr. Garrison. We didn't think it was actually going to happen. And then we got trapped in our own season because we didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I want to thank you for coming on and chatting. I really appreciate it. And it's lovely to talk to you in virtual person.
This
Um,
was great. Thank you so much for having me. I had a really fun time.
I love it. Also, again, uh, thank you for sending me that Andrew Garfield video after my friend passed. Like it
Oh,
it was like a weird little thing, and I started watching. I was like, this is articulated very well, even with Elmo in the video.
I
But
mean, yeah.
I was very happy that Jen got to meet you beforehand because that was one of her things that eventually, if she got better, we were going to have you on. But
I wish I had known her situation. Like, I wish, I didn't really talk to her that much. I wish I'd gotten a chance to talk to her more.
yeah, because she was so excited. She messaged me. She's like, I got to meet Caitlin. I told her about how we interviewed Sean and how great he was and how Bliss ruined me.
Yeah, she was really sweet.
Yeah, she told Sean that too. She's like, I love recommending this book, but like, I feel I have to have a trigger warning to it because it might ruin your life too.
Yeah. Especially if you got like parental issues, which most people do.
Very much so. Yeah, if you ever want to come on and talk up your next project when you're allowed to talk about them,
Yeah, I would
I'd be
appreciate
very happy to have you on. Everybody, follow Caitlin. In 2 weeks, go out and buy Living Hell. You will like it. You will might love it. You will love pants. I guarantee you will love pants by the end of it. I do have a
it.
last question.
Yes.
What what was the choice when you went from going to a Doberman to, I believe that's a Sheltie at the end?
Um, Honestly, just a fun looking dog. Like I was just looking for the most and I love the beard dogs. I just think they're so
Yes.
cute. They just look like little old men, and I just thought like if this ever gets rebooted, or not rebooted, but like if there's ever a sequel that they let me do with Joe being, well, not to like spoil anything, but if there's ever a sequel, I would love to have that dog be like grumpy old man dog.
I could
Side.
tell I was getting tired at the time because I was like 2 a.m. and I'm like, I wonder what made that choice of going from a giant Doberman to this little dog.
Like like a schnauzer, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Schnauzer. I was like, not a Sheltie. Shelties are different,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, old man dog because
Old
that's the
man
first
dog.
thing I think of. It looks like Sean Connery except without the wife beating.
Yeah, you know what I think was in my head was the dog from 101 Dalmatians that had the beard. Yeah, I think he even had a Scottish accent.
Probably.
Yeah.
um, I very much appreciate our chat and you coming on and talking about everything from Buffy, how you got into art, and uh, I don't know if we talked enough about Living Hell. Well, it's hard to talk about something without spoiling it. And I want people to kind of read it, but if you know Don Bluth's animation now, you're going to be looking for it.
You'll definitely see the
Definitely,
influence.
yes, definitely. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you watching, and go buy Living Hell. Bye.